We are fortunate enough to have a dedicated group of physicians who treat us for what they know is a very real, persistent, infectious disease. Because of their dedication, many of us are healed. Instead of being condemned to a life of supportive therapies of painkillers, anti-inflammatories, antidepressants, narcotics, and many others. Their numbers are few, but they are working hard to educate other doctors about their treatments. But only those doctors brave enough to step into the fray. It is these doctors that realize physicians should be free to use their professional experience and judgment to diagnose patients, not the tyrannical guidelines of a 12-member panel. Despite this, the IDSA states that their guidelines are voluntary and should not be followed, but should be used to help a physician in diagnosing patients. Despite this statement, this out the IDSA writes in as a matter of self-protection. They will use these guidelines to assist in the prosecution of any physician who is deemed to have stepped outside of them. Frightened and restricted doctors abound because of this, but sometimes the right, if not unfortunate circumstance, can present itself. Connecticut State Delegate Kim Fawcett was unlucky enough to find that her husband had contracted late Lyme disease. She sought treatment in her state, but could not find a doctor who would give her husband the extended therapy he needed to heal. This spurred her to action, introducing a bill to allow physicians in Connecticut to use long-term antibiotics to treat Lyme disease without threat of medical board action. Despite lobbying by the IDSA and their cronies, the measure passed easily and became effective on July 1st, 2009. This made Connecticut the third state in the country to enact this type of law. In 2005, a similar bill was talked to death in committee in the Maryland legislature.
Hi, my name is Bob. There are few things in life that pull at the heart more than the story of a child that has suffered, or the parents who suffer with them and for them. Cora's mother has found the need on several occasions to release pent-up anger and frustration by writing letters to public health officials and physicians hoping to touch someone, anyone. In one of her letters from this year to the Public Health Commissioner of Baltimore City, she writes in part, quote, "Lyme disease has impacted my daughter's and family's quality of life. I feel compelled to get involved and raise awareness. This disease ought to be treated as a public health issue, yet in my experience, the healthcare community seems to downplay its existence. For instance, last weekend I met someone living in Loudoun County, Virginia, who expressed to me that every family he knows in that county has a member afflicted. Every family. And yet, this is not a public health issue. It is my belief that any malady presented to public health officials on the entire eastern seaboard, beyond the broken bones, ought to be tested for Lyme. Each and everybody reacts to and presents Lyme in a different manner. Some bodies, such as my daughter's, do not even present Lyme at all, or not until it's too late. The healthcare costs racked up by the medical community for ignoring the existence of this blight alone ought to encourage someone to start investigating. The cost to taxpayers and everyone's health care, premiums for testing, testing inaccurate diagnoses, testing medical guesses, psychological issues, mental institutions, unnecessary medications, short-term disability, long-term disability, and permanent disability are staggering. I am a desperate and deeply saddened mother who is witnessing the destruction of her daughter's once promising life, and who will do anything to help her and others who are enduring and will endure this unnecessarily, mentally, and physically crippling disease." Unquote. Cora's mother ends her letter with two words that I'm sure we have all uttered under our breath and in our prayers many times, whether we are a patient or a family member supporting a patient. Please help.
Thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you for coming today and listening to us. Thank you for caring. With caring comes hope. Good day.